Certainly. Below is a full, in-depth speculative review of the so-called ZVER-X10 missile, as described in the video titled, "The Russian Rocket the World Was Never Meant to See," written in a continuous prose style and approximately 2,000 words in length, without headings or subheadings or brackets. The mysterious emergence of the ZVER-X10, allegedly a new and highly advanced Russian hypersonic missile, has stirred significant curiosity and debate among defense enthusiasts and speculative military analysts. With its origins rooted in an internet video published by a military-themed YouTube channel, the ZVER-X10 is presented as a marvel of modern warfare, futuristic, deadly, and virtually undetectable. However, a close examination of the available content, the nature of the claims made, and the surrounding media ecosystem reveals that the ZVER-X10 may be far more fiction than fact, more propaganda than performance, and more myth than machine. The video that introduces this missile frames it as a top-secret Russian development, hidden from the eyes of the global military community until recently. Dramatic music, high-definition graphics, and cinematic narration contribute to the air of mystery and power that surrounds the missile. It is described as a weapon so fast it cannot be tracked, so stealthy it is invisible to enemy radar, and so powerful it can obliterate strategic targets in mere seconds. The imagery associated with the missile includes sleek angular design, a black or metallic exterior, and red-stamped Cyrillic markings, visual features that borrow heavily from science fiction and speculative military art. The name, ZVER, which translates to beast in Russian, adds to the dramatic tone, as though the weapon is less a machine and more a mythic force. Despite the dramatic presentation, the lack of factual support for the ZVER-X10's existence is glaring. There are no official statements from the Russian Ministry of Defense. No open-source intelligence images from satellite surveillance. No reports from defense observers or military technology analysts. The missile has not been mentioned in any recognized international defense publications or institutions. This absence is significant because the development and deployment of hypersonic weapons are typically tracked with great interest and scrutiny by global observers. Hypersonic glide vehicles and scramjet-powered missiles are among the most intensely watched categories of modern arms development. Nations like the United States, China, and Russia have all announced or demonstrated such capabilities, but every credible claim has been accompanied by some level of independent verification. Flight tests, defense contractor involvement, leaked schematics, and even statements by rival governments serve to confirm or deny the reality of a given weapons platform. In the case of ZVER-X10, there is simply none of that. The entire narrative is confined to a single video with no sourcing, no corroborating data, and no trace in any known defense registry. One of the more troubling aspects of the ZVER-X10 story is how easily sensationalized media can manipulate perception. The video itself follows a familiar structure often seen in speculative or clickbait military content. It mixes real images of Russian military hardware with digitally created visuals, overlays pseudo-technical information, and inserts emotionally charged narration. The goal seems less about informing and more about capturing attention, building hype, and potentially provoking fear or admiration. This raises questions not just about the ZVER-X10, but about the broader environment in which such content thrives. In an age of digital propaganda, deepfakes, and AI-generated media, it becomes increasingly difficult for casual viewers to separate fact from fiction. Even seasoned analysts can be misled when information is presented in a deliberately convincing format. The ZVER-X10 story is a perfect case study in how modern myths are manufactured and disseminated, often for reasons that are political, commercial, or psychological rather than technological. Nevertheless, let us for a moment entertain the possibility that the ZVER-X10 is real. What would such a missile look like? What would it be capable of? Based on the claims in the video and extrapolating from known hypersonic technology, we could imagine the ZVER-X10 as a long-range, air-breathing missile capable of Mach 8 or higher. It might utilize a scramjet engine, a propulsion technology that allows a vehicle to accelerate beyond Mach 5 by compressing incoming air without the need for moving parts. Such engines are real, though extremely difficult to develop and control. The missile's airframe would likely be built from heat-resistant composite materials, designed to withstand extreme aerodynamic pressures and thermal loads. Its guidance systems would have to operate under tremendous strain, maintaining stability and accuracy at velocities where even the slightest deviation could result in catastrophic failure. A warhead, perhaps nuclear or high explosive, would need to be compact yet potent, and possibly designed for deep penetration or wide area devastation. But even this hypothetical sketch runs into problems. Russia, while a leader in missile technology, has only publicly acknowledged a handful of hypersonic systems, such as the Avangard glide vehicle and the Kinjal air-launched missile. Each of these platforms took years to develop, test, and deploy, and were introduced alongside extensive military demonstrations and international reactions. It would be highly unusual, borderline unbelievable, for a weapon as formidable as the ZVER-X10 to appear without similar trails. Furthermore, Russia's current military-industrial base is under considerable strain. Ongoing economic sanctions, wartime logistics, and resource constraints make it less likely that an entirely new missile platform would emerge in secret, let alone be revealed casually via YouTube. The broader strategic implications of the ZVER-X10, if it were real, would be enormous. A stealth-capable hypersonic missile could render many existing defense systems obsolete. Conventional radar, anti-missile interceptors, and satellite-based tracking systems would struggle to keep pace with such a fast and evasive threat. This would shift the global balance of power, forcing rival nations to develop new layers of detection, response, and deterrence. Yet again, such a shift would not go unnoticed. Intelligence agencies, defense analysts, and military contractors worldwide constantly monitor developments in hypersonic technology. The fact that not one reputable source has even mentioned the ZVER-X10 lends further weight to the notion that it is, at best, a concept and not a weapon. That leaves us with another possibility: the ZVER-X10 is a deliberate piece of psychological warfare. The Russian state has long understood the value of military mythmaking. From the Cold War's missile gap to modern cyber warfare, the projection of strength is often as valuable as strength itself. By seeding stories like the ZVER-X10, certain factions may aim to intimidate adversaries, reassure domestic audiences, or simply create enough confusion to blur strategic assessments. The ZVER-X10's dramatic name, its mythical capabilities, and its theatrical unveiling are perfectly in line with such objectives. It is a phantom weapon, perhaps never meant to be real, but designed to exist in the minds of enemies and citizens alike. This kind of information operation is not new, but it is growing more sophisticated thanks to modern media. With the rise of social networks, algorithmic feeds, and viral content, the battlefield of perception has become just as important as the battlefield of reality. In this context, the ZVER-X10 is a missile made not of metal, but of narrative. Of course, the potential for ZVER-X10 to inspire real technological innovation should not be dismissed entirely. Military programs often begin as ideas, some of them wild or impractical at first. Even false reports can spark real research. If enough attention is given to the concept, if enough engineers are intrigued by the challenge, it is not impossible that